Cost in silence, silence, silence. Cost in silence, silence.
They count the sorties, count the missiles spent, the Pentagon briefings sound like a rent statement from a general, a spreadsheet on a screen, kinetic effects, assets, nothing in between but the state of siege is a family that waits, a mother in Tehran counting the minutes, the dates. Her son was deployed to the southern front. She hears the news cycle, she knows what they want. They say precision, targeted, minimal risk, but she watched the neighbor's house turn to dust in a flick. McGregor called it a state of siege, that's the truth. A whole nation living under the proof that war ain't a headline, ain't a press release. It's a slow erosion, it's a constant unease.
Cost in silence.
The cost they don't name, the legend they keep in the column of shame. Not the missiles, not the steel, not the tanks on the plane, but the breath that stops waiting, the hope that drains. They measure it in billions, in GDP down. We measure in the faces that never come around.
The cost in silence.
The debt unpaid, the families that carry what the empire made.
The cost in silence. The cost in silence.
Armor came back from the last one, the one they call shock and awe. He carried a duffel bag in the shadow he couldn't thaw. They gave him a parade, a flag, a folded lie. Said thank you for your service, then they let him dry. 20 years later, the VA is a waiting room, a clock on the wall, a slow consuming doom. He lost his marriage, lost his house, lost his peace of mind. The war that they sold is quick, left a permanent bond. Now his son is enlisted, says I gotta do my part. My uncle stares at the ceiling with a hollow heart. The cost in silence is a generation lost, a cycle of service that the empire cost. They talk about strategy, talk about the long game, but the families in the waiting rooms know the real name. The cost they don't count, the price they don't see. The veteran in the alley, the mother on her knees, the child who never knew their parents' face. The debt that the empire can't erase.
The cost in silence.
The cost they don't name, the legend they keep in the column of shame. Not the missiles, not the steel, not the tanks on the plane, but the breath that stops waiting, the hope that drains. They measure it in billions, in GDP down. We measure it in faces that never come around. The cost in silence, the debt unpaid, the families that carry what the empire made. The cost in silence. The cost in silence. History's a ledger of the solid cost. The veterans who wandered, the families lost. From Vietnam to the sandbox, the same refrain. The politicians promise, then they shift the blame. And Valentino asked the question, the briefings won't touch. What gives one man the power to commit us so much? No declaration, no vote, no consent of the governed. Just a signature on a paper, a war that was spawned. And the soldiers who follow, the families who wait. The cost in silence is the weight of the state. Mir Sama said it's existential for them, but for the families here, it's the same requiem. A son, a daughter, a parent, a friend. The cost in silence is the price without end. They call it defense, call it strategic might. The families call it the long, quiet night. The cost in silence. The cost they don't name, the legend they keep in the column of shame. Not the missiles, not the steel, not the tanks on a plane, but the breath that stops waiting, the hope that drains. They measure it in billions, in GDP down. We measure it in the faces that never come around. The cost in silence. The debt unpaid, the families that carry what the empire made. The cost in silence. The cost in silence. Cost in silence. They told us it was about strategy, about national interest, about the long game. But the long game is played by the families who